Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Resident Rule Breakers. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
And today's podcast is about episode 411 called After the Storm. It was written by Peter Elkoff and Eric Liu and directed by Pablo Gomez Castro. This episode is called After the Storm, and obviously they have a tornado that touches down in Metro Atlanta right over Chastain, damages part of Chastain in the process, and like I saw comments in the Facebook group that people were like, why are they standing near the glass? Whatever. I'm like, obviously it's drama for the show because they have to show the tornado or whatever, but I'm sitting here thinking, like, in the South, like, we get them, and when they get them, they can be pretty bad, but people don't take them as seriously as they do in the Midwest, where they get them outbreaks, all the time. Because they get them.
Because, like, Kansas is, that whole area in the Midwest is, like, tornado alley. That's what it's called.
Yeah, and, well, they call Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi. They call it Tornado Alley Part 2.
But it's not as prominent, I guess.
It's not as prominent. Like, I have memories of my grandpa sitting on the porch during a thunderstorm, okay? I'm just letting you know that,
you can just blame it on Wizard of Oz. Okay.
But like, I'm sitting here thinking, like the news always says, there's a tornado chance, whatever. They give the warning and everything. They always say, take shelter. But here, even where I live, tornado shelters are just not normal. Okay.
Yep.
You go to your basement, you go to your bathroom, you sit in a closet, blah blah blah. But that's just, we don't have a tornado shelter like they do in the Midwest. And so we do get them.
I think it's mostly because of the Midwest. They have, for some reason, they have this, like, what is this, propaganda, I guess, or this belief that, like, tornadoes like flat land kind of thing. So that's why it's like they're always in Kansas, Nebraska, that area. Whereas, like, Atlanta, most of Georgia, you think of, like, Atlanta, which is like a skyscrapers and city life or whatever.
But tornado tore through Nashville and destroyed downtown Nashville last year. So it does happen.
It can appear anywhere.
It does happen.
But like I said, you can blame Wizard of Oz. Just blame Dorothy.
But yeah, there's your excuses down here in the South. While we do get the warnings on the news and we have the weather radios and the phone alerts go out, people don't take them as seriously as they should. And that's one of the main reasons. Like the guy fixing the light, okay? He's like, I just want one more thing. Yeah, and he ended up having to have his brain operated on because he wouldn't get out of the way.
It reminded, that whole scene with Leela reminds me of what's her name from Grey's Anatomy, Izzy. Remember when she, like, had to?
I haven't watched Grey's Anatomy, so.
Patient. Oh, you've never watched Grey's Anatomy? Not in all 4 seasons, not like in all 17 seasons. Jesus. Okay, so there's this scene from, like, season 4 or something like that, where, like, one of the interns was stuck in a boat, and this guy was stuck between cars or whatever. So Izzy had to do burros on the guy's head, and she had to call the doctors over at Grace Sloan, or at the time Seattle Grace, to kind of, like, talk her through doing brain surgery on the boat because she was stuck. So that's why it reminded, when the whole thing with Leela happened, I was like, oh yeah, that reminds me of Grace. No, a lot of things from this episode reminded me of Grace, like the whole ambulance thing too. There was, like, this scene in another season where the ambulance went upside down and everything. It was crazy. But anyway.
But before, everything, and Conrad and Nick are protecting their chickens, even before tornadoes happen down here, we get nasty thunderstorms, so it's raining, for hours prior. They had a tornado watch well before they had the tornado.
Yeah.
And so Conrad and Nick were trying to make sure their chickens weren't going to get, hurt if there was one. Yeah. Yeah.
That was cute that they went out to check on their chickens. Even I'm surprised. I'm like, they've had these chickens for like a couple of
I'm sitting here thinking to myself, because I've had
a
pet chicken. I've had a pet chicken, and they grow pretty fast. So I'm thinking these chicks should be full grown hens at this point. Okay.
Yeah.
Just pointing it out to y'all that they don't grow that slowly. I've had a pet chicken, and I can tell you that she grew pretty fast, and was laying eggs within 6 months. Okay.
Yep. So, but yeah, these are the chickens. So those chicks are. They're so cute trying to take care of the chicks, making sure that they stay dry or whatever.
But in the midst of all of this, Conrad and Nick are trying to get people to shelter, and Conrad has to shelter Nick from the storm.
Glass.
Yeah, from the glass, and he actually ends up getting injured in his shoulder. But Conrad pulls the Conrad thing, and he lies about it not being as bad as it is, and Nick reprimands him for it later. But that's just a Conrad thing. But at the end, she realized she needed to go on maternity leave before something else happened. So,
yeah, she did want to go into maternity leave. Like she fought it or whatever.
And speaking of all this Connick storyline, that note from Mina makes no sense.
Yeah, that was just like that. Like, okay, I swear to God, I feel like the writers are trying to like change the character, but she's not even there, and I'm sitting there going, "When the person that we've known for 4 seasons will never tell Nick, I don't want to be the anchor on your neck." Like, what the fuck? Who wrote that note? It was sure as heck wasn't Minna. That sounded more like what Nick would say to Minna than what Minna would say to her. You just know what I mean?
Yeah, and speaking of this instance, there's another instance in the episode with while I think it's cute that Minator are texting each other across the world, the heart emoji really isn't a Mina thing.
Yeah.
That again sounds more if it were any other character besides Mina.
She would be telling AJ to go kick ass and be a surgeon. Forget about the, we'll talk later or whatever. She would be sending heart emojis to people.
Because he did kick ass with the surgery on Sammie, and just yeah. So, speaking of Sammie, this storyline really made me cry. Like, this poor little girl who was adopted from China. Her parents died from COVID.
Her family died of COVID.
Yep.
She didn't get to say goodbye.
But she has cancer. And her adopted family gives her up because they can't care for her. Or they don't want to care for her. That's so sad.
I kept my mouth shut on this storyline, mostly because I am unpopular opinion. I bring a lot of unpopular opinions to this podcast, don't I? Okay, the girl was 12 years old, and she is very, very sick, right? I was that 12-year-old girl. I was 11, and I was put in foster care, and I was disabled. Same thing. I can tell you right now, that age, that disability, it is very, very difficult to find somebody who is willing to take that in. You can't. People are mad at the parents, but like, well, you signed up for it. And like, they probably didn't sign up for a really, really sick child. You know what I mean? It takes special people to do that. And as much as we would like to think that everyone is an angel, and of course they sign up for this, and they they should love her and keep her or whatever. It's a lot more harder work than, like, let's say a newborn or just a 12-year-old that doesn't have this illness or whatever. So it's like, I don't hate the parents. It can be overwhelming, especially since the parents have said that they have other children. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it impacts entire family, and they were already saying that it was causing their family to fall apart.
Yeah,
and
also,
it's sad. It's a sad situation all the way around, and
yeah. I also, like, people keep thinking that, Jake is gonna adopt her or whatever. So I'm sitting there going, I don't think that's gonna happen. Not
because they wanted a baby, like a surrogate, right? So yeah.
Preparing for a newborn is like a million times different than preparing for a preteen who's sick. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, as much as we would like to think that Jake has the heart of gold, or so is his husband, and will take on this very, very sick preteen, that is I don't think that's likely gonna happen. And as much as we hate to say this, I don't think that girl's gonna live long, number one. Number two, if she does live long, it's gonna be in the foster care system or something.
But I mean, I love the fact that Jake was able to give a connection to her and use his heritage and everything to help connect to her, because she couldn't speak any English, and that part I really loved. But yeah, so the Sammie thing, like, I love the fact that Belle and AJ teamed together to try to help this little girl possibly survive something that's almost unsurvivable.
Yeah, they took all her organs out to get rid of the tumors, and then they were gonna put it back together, but it was more complicated than they thought or whatever. So, like, they couldn't close her,
and she was on a vent at the end of the episode.
Yeah, that poor girl. God, yeah. I mean, like, I know you don't watch Grey's Anatomy, but they had a similar storyline with like a couple years ago, and it just seemed like they went too fast with the storyline, because it seemed like, they thought about it and they're all doing it and they're like, yay, let's go, or whatever. They fast forward the storyline, in my opinion, because it's not more complicated than just take out the organs and that whatever. They, like, have to play it out, which organs and what order and whatever, so which tumors, and it just seemed like they just made it sound so simple or whatever with that one. And that poor girl, I can't even imagine how much pain she would be in if she wakes up.
Exactly.
And that's an if. It's not even a guarantee that she will wake up.
All right. The next storyline is Devin and Leela were in the sim lab when the tornado hit. And with them was the guy fixing the lighting. And
electrician.
Yeah, and the window was blown out by the tornado. And Devin and Leela were under the one of the tables. Devin actually sheltered her. A lot of people were like, "Oh, I want them together and everything," but I'm still against it because she's his intern.
Yeah, same here. Like I said,
I mean, the writers are going to do what the writers are going to do, but I think that Devin deserves someone that's not, their hierarchy needs to be somewhat equal if he's going to date a coworker.
Yeah.
Anyway, Leela actually, the guy that was fixing the light, he, in the middle of it all, has this, I guess, this bar.
Well, he fell off.
He fell.
Step ladder or whatever he was on, and, like, he got impaled in the head with some kind of screwdriver or whatever. So.
And they can't get out because they're stuck in the lab.
Yeah, and stuff. And so, like, there's no reception or anything like that. So they keep calling Kane's Kane like finally get the phone call finally gets through, and Kane is like, "Look, Leela, you're the surgical intern. You have to do this or whatever." So he kind of talks her through it very quickly because the reception is bad or whatever. Um, here's the thing. Last week I was saying that I feel like I would hate that the writers relegated Leela to just being a love interest to Manish. That I said that last week, and I still stand by that. And I'm really grateful that they did. They've actually explored her dyslexia a little bit with this season, with this episode especially, when she because like when Manish was talking to her and trying to visualize the surgery with her, that's sort of what a lot of times dyslexic people do, is like they kind of visualize more than just before they actually do it and stuff. And she's an artist, she draws, so that's how she that's the kind of thing she does, is like pictures it and stuff like that before she does it. So I'm glad that they kind of called back to that with Leela.
But they used, normal tools that are found in, any normal toolkit, like anything that I would have found in something my dad would have in his shop.
Yeah.
My dad would have had every one of those tools, I can promise you.
But they weren't in a surgical.
No, they weren't. They weren't. But the power drill and everything.
That's why I said it reminded me so much of this episode where Izzy did brain surgery, did burr holes on Grey's Anatomy, because that's what she did. She did burr holes with a screwdriver. So when like he pulled out and said, "Look, we have a drill," I was like, "Burr holes," because that's exactly.
But yeah, they Kane was helping them from what he could help them with, which is interesting. And then they saved his life, and they finally got to him and got him out. But Leela and Devin actually do talk about, at the end they do talk about their parents, their mom and her dad, and she's like, "My dad wants me to have a backup in case I destroy my career." And I'm like, wow, that's like harsh.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, I don't know if it's she's kind of looked like in the traditional Indian family kind of things. You want doctors and lawyers or whatever, but he's like, because she has a learning disability, they don't expect much from her or whatever. So that's why she keeps saying that her parents want backup for her, because it's like they think that she's one failure away from whatever. So that's why they want to get her married. I feel bad for her, but she's actually doing really good with the surgery stuff. So
yeah,
go girl.
Yeah, and of course we have Billy. Billy's working with Kane. Their case was Rose, and she had some issues from her treatment, right?
Yep.
And but Billy was, trying to talk Kane into like opening up and stuff, and in the end she was like, "You need to open up a little bit," and he finally opened up to her about his ex-girlfriend dying on the table, which that's pretty vulnerable. I think that was a very vulnerable scene to do.
Yeah. It's like, I don't want to get close to another person because I already lost, somebody or whatever.
But yeah, it's a crazy thing. And then of course, the paramedics that they brought Sammie in. They end up getting caught in the ambulance bay during the tornado, and one of them ends up having to have her leg amputated by Kit, and she ends up dying on the table.
Yep.
That's so sad. So, but like,
Yeah.
I was really sad with the amount of Kit we got in the episode. I love Jane to death, and I know she's CEO, but like, I love it when she's in the episode like a lot, and she just
But Kit needs to get out of being CEO. I feel like Kit needs to go back to surgery. We need somebody else who's not a surgeon to be CEO. As much as it seems ideal, it's ideal to have a hospital run by doctors, but these are doctors. They're not meant to be in the office. You know what I mean?
I like seeing more of her. Like, I love seeing her in action when she helped with the paramedic. I was like, yes, yeah. Cool, yay. But that was all we got of her.
Yeah, that's why I said that we need more of her, not in the office wearing business clothes. I need more of her in scrubs in the OR floor.
So yeah, that was that, and just so that was really like, I mean, I saw the questions truly, like, I was like, the tornado was done for drama, guys. It really was. That whole thing, just standing there staring. You don't stand there and stare at a tornado.
Yep. But my favorite part of the whole episode was the end when they were like at the bar all at the bar. I love Leela like totally showing off the guys with the
dartboard. Yeah. They're like our hands are agile because we're surgeons and all this stuff. And she's like, and she gets the bullseye every time. And she's like,
yeah,
when you have a learning disability, it's different. I was like, yeah, go.
Yeah. I just loved it. And then like all the people were like trying to, because they just had surgery or something, right? They were all like, because it was Conrad. Who was on her team? Conrad and Kane.
Yeah,
I mean, not Conrad, but Jake and Kane, and Leela, and they were all drunk, and people were like, "Oh, that's."
And AJ even said something like, "I'm just inebriated enough to where I can't control my ego."
Yeah, all like these things, and I'm sitting there going, like, and then she was like, "Okay, $1 a point or something like that," and she like threw 3 bullseyes. I'm like, "You go, girl."
So, yeah, I liked that scene, but so before we go, there are a couple of things we want to mention. You wanted to mention the COVID outbreak in India.
Yeah. So if you guys aren't aware, there's actually this is the 1st of May. First day of May. May is AAPI, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. And for that, we would like to get, there's currently a huge outbreak going on in India of COVID cases where hundreds of thousands of people are dying almost daily. New cases all popping up all the time. And it's really, really sad. And like they're not getting oxygen. Oxygen is running out for patients. People don't have food. They don't have shelter. Like literally funeral pyres, like all the places that you can get cremated or whatever, they're like overrun. There's so many bodies to be cremated or buried or whatever, so that they're not. This is crazy. So anyway, link is in our bio. We're gonna post it in the show notes or whatever to giveindia.org. You can donate some money. For those who some of them, they do ask for rupees. All you gotta do is like Google however American dollars you want to rupees and to see how many rupees is what's your dollar amount or whatever. Donate whatever you can. You can choose to which organization you want to go. So you could donate for medical supplies, giving oxygen, or like food for families or whatever. But the website is giveindia.org. So please donate. And that's pretty much it. That's, they're going to keep talking about this at least every week until
the end of the season.
Month.
Yeah. Because, with the rise of hate crimes against the Asian American population, this month, we're going to try to bring a little bit more awareness, especially with Camille being Filipino. We can't not touch on it. And then of course, I've got our cast members, Manish and Conrad and everyone else. There's a couple other cast members
and Adusha.
Who are of Asian descent. And so we can't ignore that. And of course, the next thing is the episode that's airing Tuesday night is called Hope in the Unseen, and it will be 4/12. And 4/12 is Conrad and Nick get a day off, but they're interrupted with plans and a medical mystery. Rose is back. Devin is taking care of her because she's his patient, after all, not Kane's. And let's see here. The clinical trial is not going the way she wants it, which we predicted, did we not?
Yep.
And then Kit is under a lot of pressure because Chastain's still in debt.
Yep.
So that's
and then I would assume, like, having a tornado tear through your hospital that you're still in debt for is gonna like totally put you in more red. You're gonna have to pay for renovations or whatever.
Yeah. And then 4/13 is called Finding Family, and it will air on May 11th.
The day before my birthday.
Yes, and Emily Van Camp's birthday. She shares a birthday with Emily Van Camp.
Yeah, we were born in the same day. I think we were born in the same year too. Or I'm a year older. I don't remember.
You're older than her.
By how much?
Like
how old is she?
2 years, I think.
I don't know. But
I don't remember. Anyway, that's just a little note there. Anyway, that Finding Family 4/13. Conrad Mickamore is back, and Billy throws Nick a baby shower. So that's that episode.
And at 4/14 is the baby comes.
Yeah, 4/14 is called Past, Present, Future, and it airs on May 18th. And essentially, Conrad and Nick have the baby.
Yep, that's all we know about that episode so far. That's the only thing that's on the press release is. But Conrad will be back also on the season finale.
Yeah, well, there's another thing on here that says the Raptor's life begins to fall apart when he is forced to turn to Kane for help. So there's the Raptor Kane storyline. And Devin and Belle are working together on a surgery, even though Devin's not a surgeon. I'm guessing he's the internist on the case. And Kit has to deal with a moral crisis.
Yeah, so much stuff.
There's so many gray areas for doctors and everything that they have to deal with, and I like the fact that this show goes there. But I just wanted to bring up what's coming, the press releases anyway, or what they're saying. Well, the information we're giving you is what Fox is giving everyone, so we're not spoiling anything. Before we go, Patreon, it's patreon.com/resident podcast, and as little as $1 a month. We haven't really been doing anything, but you might get a sneak peek of a graphic or something like that. Well, with the show getting closer and closer to the season finale, we really don't know what we're gonna to do with that right now. But just letting you know, it's there to help support us if you want to. And then of course, you can follow us on our social media. There's Facebook, which we have the Facebook page, which is the Resident Rule Breakers Podcast. Then there's the Facebook group, which is linked to the Facebook page if you're not already in it. And if you are in it, thank you for joining. If you're not, then join, answer all the questions, blah, blah, blah. And please follow the rules. That's all we ask. Then we, of course, we have our Instagram, which is at the Resident Podcast. Camille has the fan page, which is at the Resident on Fox Fans. And then mine is at QB Country 37.
Yep.
We have the Twitter, which is at Resident Podcast. And that's pretty much it for social media. And then we have how you listen to us. Podbean, which is our host. And then, of course, we have Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and our YouTube channel. So many, many ways you can listen to us, follow us, subscribe, whatever.
I have a second podcast, and it is about Hallmark movies, Hallmark Channel movies. So if you guys want to listen to that, it is called Hallmark Heartbeats. It's just me right now who's hosting. I need to go find another co-host. So if anybody likes Hallmark movies as much as I do, please hook me up. It's called Hallmark Heartbeats. This week, I am reviewing Winter in Vale, which stars Lacey Chabert and Tyler Hines. Lacey Chabert, people might know from Party of Five. But also this Thursday, I will be releasing my interview with the dog trainer for one of the dogs in recently released Hallmark movie from last week. It was called Hearts Down Under. He played the dog in the movie Spatch. So it's the dog's owner and trainer that I'm talking to. So we talk about like how she got the dog, how she started training the dog for movies, how the dog got the role, etc. And also you get to see the dog do tricks, all kinds of things. So anyway, that you can listen to my podcast on all the platforms that Kayla just listed. So while you're listening to the Resident Rule Breakers, look up Hallmark Heartbeats. But yeah, and then I have a Buy Me a Coffee page for that one as well, which is buymeacoffee.com/HmarkHeartbeats. It's a little bit different than Patreon because you don't have to do the monthly subscription that Patreon does. You can just drop me a $5 coffee. And since it's my birthday, I like coffees for my birthday, so y'all can send me all the coffees you want.
Yes, but yeah, I mean, yeah, seriously, it's her birthday month. So, and also there's another cast member has birthday in May. Matt's birthday is May the 20th. So remember that as well. Last year we did a month of Conic.
There's no need.
There's no need.
We should,
but we will honor it, guys. We will honor their birthdays. 4/12, which airs Tuesday night, 8:00 on Fox. If you can't watch it live, watch it on Hulu the next morning, please. Or whenever you're capable. Just within that time, like a week, so it counts in the ratings.
Yeah. And we're still waiting for word on season 5.
Yeah, but a lot of articles are very positive on renewal. And so it's Amy. So
yeah.
So until next week, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Camille.
Bye, guys.